Alright, we're back. Looks like everything's recording properly. Let's see what they got. Oh, gotta mute my Discord. 7 down, 5 left, 5 right, 5 up. To the right, 5 4 2 2 1. To the left, 5 5 4 3 1. Up, 5 4 4 1 1. So upright looks like the place they're going to drop off fastest. Our hand. 6 left, 6 right, 7 down, 4 up. Alright, that's somewhat limiting. There is a natural starter in 1, 3, 2, 6, and 6, with 4, 2, 2, 6 supporting, but I think the more important question is whether 2, 6, 3, 4 supports. So if 2, 6, 3, 4 lands in 2 to capture a card in 3, because 2, 6, 3, 4 controls any card they can put in 3 or 9. But the question is, if 2, 6, 3, 4 lands in 2 or 8, does it give them combos? And the answer is it does in both squares. I don't love that. I think that means if I go 1, 3, 2, 6, and 6, they should play something like 1, 4, 5, 5, and 3, and I play 9, and they set up something in 5, say 1, 2, 6, 4, and, something in 5, say 1, 2, 6, 4, and 2, and they have a threat in 5, I do not. I think that's a difficult position, and I think I should be trying to avoid that kind of position. So, if we can't do that, what can we do? Probably not a lot. Probably not a lot. I just don't think that position's very good for me. And just depending on what they've kept in hand, I'm not sure they put 1, 2, 6, 4, and 2. But if I need to block 5, 4, 2, 6, 1 gives them 5, 5, 2, 3, and 8. 3, 3, 7, 2 gives them 1, 2, 6, 4, and 8 if they've held on to it. So my only card to block 5 with is 2, 6, 3, 4, which likely gives up my threat in 1, so I probably can't play that. So I probably have to sack 5 in that line. Which means I probably have to play 2, 3, 7, 2 in 1, give them 5, which has to be 5, 5, 2, 3, and then I can play 4, 2, 6, 1, and 4, and 2, 6, 3, 4 does control the side to side. Maybe it's a tie? I calculated one line to a tie? I don't see what else I'm gonna do. It's always corners, but it's hard for me to angle the game upright in a way that's useful. So, alright, let's play. So my main line is something in 3, say 4, 2, 5, 5, 1, 4, 5, 5, and 3. I go 4, 2, 2, 6, and 9. At this point, I might be saying, yes, I did it. Then they put something in 2, either 4, 1, 7, 1, but probably not, because that does give me some play in 5, or more likely 1, 2, 6, 4, giving them 5, 5, 2, 3, and 5. If I block 5, I either give them 8 or give up all my right power, which includes giving up my threat against 1, 2, 6, 4. So I don't have a good way to block 5, I don't think. So my plan is 2, 3, 7, 2 in 1. I think at that point they do have to take 5. I don't know what else they do productively. So they take 5. They have to use 5, 5, 2, 3, I think, to have much impact. If they could set up threats in both 4 and 8 at once, that could also be worth considering. but I don't think they'll have the cards to do so at that point. So I think they have to go 5, and then I can go 4-2-6-1 in 4. I am down 6-4, but they do not have a threat against my card in 9, and my 2-6-3-4 has a critical same in 8 to make sure it gets at least 1 capture, and if they block 8, the 6 can overpower anything. That's my idea. This is my game plan. And, I'm actually feeling good. I think I think Triad Wars, this is the first games I'm playing after Triad Wars, I think they got me just much sharper. I think, because at the start of TTA's return, I was good, and then I got into this phase where, like, some games they just give the whole game line, and I felt really good like that, and I haven't been able to do that. And I realize it's because I'm making this, like, awkward starter, and also there's a million other things he could do, like if he does 1-2-6-4 in 2 immediately or something like that. You know, of course, that's very different. Not that I think that one's very good. But it's nice to feel back in, like, okay, I can see just basic critical moves of, like, what's the capture, what's the safety, stuff like that. But being able to calculate out the whole game on any line like that is really encouraging. So let's return back to what you're here for, the chess. So I introduced you to the 8 players in the last video, and we'll quickly recap them. Top seed, Ding Liren, great Chinese player, my pick to win entering the tournament. Second seed, Ali Reza Firouzja, 18-year-old wonder kid, just doing incredible things at a young age. But the caveat, so Ding, possibly best player in the field, but kind of hasn't played much for 2 years. Firouzja, young, incredibly talented, but maybe hasn't proven it against the top level, and also just went quiet for 9 months, and when he came back, had a bad showing. Caruana, the most steadily successful of the players here, is the 3rd seed, but Caruana's been a bit worse the last year and a half, and has split with his longtime second, who I believe is the best second in the world. Our 4th seed is Jan Nepomucci, the previous challenger for the World Championship, who tends to collapse in the second half of all events. So he was absolutely slaughtered in the World Championship, despite playing it pretty even over the first half, but then he collapsed. In the candidates, because of COVID, the candidates were split into 2, candidates being the tournament that determines the challenger. In the candidates, he started fantastic, loses the last game of the first half, but then it gets canceled for a year and gets to recharge and then ends up winning the tournament. People are skeptical of him for that reason, but other than that, he should be one of the best players in the field. 5th seed, we have Richard Rapport, a creative player from Hungary, though switching federations to Romania soon. 6th seed, we have Hikaru Nakamura, very popular chess streamer. 7th seed, we have Timur Rajabov, called him a genocidal maniac last time. I will stick with that. Now, you might be thinking I'm talking about Russia, Ukraine, but no, I'm talking about Azerbaijan and Armenia. And our 8th seed is Jan Krzysztof Duda, young, fun Polish player. So those are our 8. And we reached the first round, where some interesting things happened. Duda Report. Now, these are not our featured players, so we'll be quick on this. But Duda got like a weirdly winning position out of the opening. Just imagine one of those triple triad positions where someone has a win, but it feels like they have no right to. But it's not like something like incredibly clever. It's just like the positional factors of the opening are winning, and it seems like it should be a little better, but not really winning. And then it was winning, but he failed to convert, so they drew. Rajabov versus Firouzja. Firouzja is one of our featured players, young talent. Rajabov got some advantage with white, but didn't convert. Firouzja held the draw. There wasn't much. Firouzja should hold, but he did. And then the 2 big games. What order to do them? Let's do them the order they happened. Because all the games started at once, but some finished before others do. We had Ding versus Nepo. And Ding is really solid with white. Alright, he does go in 3. Is there much point about thinking before going in 9? Like, if we play 2-6-3-4 in 2, they go 4-1-7-1 in 5, and we cry. So, okay. we're following the line I calculated. I thought this was Deli's best move. I wasn't sure between 4255 and 1455. This is, I think it's pretty similar. So let's put it back on him. I'm so excited if I fully calculate out a game, because I haven't done that in a while. Just really rooting for the line I said to happen. So I do think he asked what's my follow-up plan, which is a completely fair question. But I do think if oh, there is a question. If 1, 2, 6, 4, and 2, if I go 1, can they go 7? Not really. Nah, I'm not worried about that. Yeah. So it's a fair question. But I did have an idea. I had an idea. He goes 2, I go 1. I'm really trying to play this game with, like, Akiyama Seto speed. Reason to do 3-3-7 2-1 rather than 4-2-6-1 is that it was my first instinct, but also that it's hard for them to set up plus threats. For instance, if they go 5 with 5-5-2-3, that sets up a plus threat in 4. It doesn't really matter because I'm blocking there anyway. So I think both moves work, but if one move doesn't work, it's probably the 4-2-6-1 that doesn't work because it's easier for them to set up against. For instance, 4-2-6-1, maybe they could play 1-4-5-5 and 7 and give they won't still have 1-2-6-4 in their hand. But if they somehow did, that card would then have threats in both 4 and 8. We can imagine some lines there. Okay, but back to the chess. So Ding plays an interesting opening and gets what looks like a pleasant position. And then Nepo just brings all his pieces over towards the king, and Ding does nothing, and suddenly Nepo is just completely winning as black against the top seed in just this incredible turn of events. And then he performs the attack really beautifully and just crushes Ding. And tournament favorite, my pick to win, Ding, loses in the first round as white, really rough. Nepo kind of continues his tradition of hot starts, winning as black against the number 1 seed. Really impressive by Nepo, but man, was Ding bad. It was a weird game. And then the other big game, we have Caruana Nakamura, which was locked in to happen in the first round because both players are American, and they make sure you play compatriots as early as possible so that there can't be a situation where 2 people from the same country, one is in contention, one isn't. The one that isn't in contention intentionally throws the game. Not that, like, this probably happens, but it certainly would have happened in the 60s and earlier. But that one in contention throws the game to the other so as to give them the title. So they make sure to get those games out of the way so you can't know which one will be ahead. There was a question, because Nakamura hasn't been playing classical chess for a while, would his opening repertoire be the same? And it looks like it is the same. And Caruana found a nice way to apply a little pressure, and Nakamura did something weird. And Nakamura made a video right after the game about what happened, but Nakamura did not quite evaluate his king safety properly, and Caruana, though he missed some stuff, but, you know, all the best players do. If you have to make, like, 60 perfect moves, it's really hard. Eventually, Caruana broke through and got a win. So our leaders after the first round are Caruana and Nepo. Which brings us to round 2, which is happening now. And I'll just go through the games from top to bottom. Report Faruja, you may have noticed, probably didn't, but Faruja, this is the second game where he is listed second. That means this is his second black game, which means he's going to have more whites the rest of the way. So for him, coming out even after the first 2 games is a better position to be in than other players coming out even, because Faruja was the unlucky player drawn to have 2 blacks to start the tournament, while Jan-Christoph Duda was the player who got 2 whites to start the tournament. Ah, he does it this way. Ah, this wasn't the line I calculated. Okay, so we might have problems. I thought that gave me the plus, but if I take the plus, he gets the plus. And I still don't have a card to put in 5. So this was a better way to do it, and I did not calculate this correctly. On the other hand, might be fine. So if I go 4, 2, 6, 1, and 8, Alright, so if I go 4, 2, 6, 1, 8, saying, take 5, do it, I dare you. Can he go 1 such that 2, 3, 7, 2, and 2, he has a plus in 4? No, it doesn't matter if he has a plus, because that only combos 8, and I'm still taking 8 back. So, if I go 4, 2, 6, 1, and 8, can he go 7 such that he has the combo? That would be more relevant. The answer is yes. The answer is could play 1, 2, 6, 4 in 7. You go up 6, 4. But I still tie. Because I take 2 things, I go up 6, 4. They combo in 4, that flips 2 things back. I take 1 thing at the end. I tie. So 4, 2, 6, 1, and 8 is my instinct. I haven't checked if what happens if they go in 5, though. Now, if they go in 5 and it's not 1, 2, 6, 4, really hard to imagine that beating right there. Yeah. Really hard to imagine. I have some cute pluses occasionally on the 2 with my 2, 3, 7, 2 with the 1 facing left. So 1, 2, 6, 4 in 5. He goes up 7 to 3. But I play 2, 3, 7, 2. There's probably a few ways to do this. Maybe there's only the one. I play 2, 3, 7, 2 in 7, make it 6, 4, and luckily 5, 5, 2, 3 cannot capture that, and my 2, 6, 3, 4 is going to have 1 or 2 captures at the end. So, okay, that should tie. There's also 4, 2, 6, 1, and 1, because now they're combo in 5 with 1, 2, 6, 4, it sets up worse against the 6. But I don't think I have good follow-up play there. So I think I should go 8. I don't like how my way is to block 5, so let's go for it. Pretend we're Seto Akiyama and play quickly. But I think this should hold. Interesting game. Shame I didn't get the line. I thought 4171 made a little less sense because it gave me shared control of 5, but I think it was a better move. I think my line against the other one was simpler, and this noted it gave me 5, but wasn't too worried about that because they have such good follow-ups in everywhere really. Because it gives me 5, they have 8, they have 1. Still possible that held, but I was never winning there, so I didn't feel much need to check it, and I'm pretty sure this ties. 1, 2, 6, 4, and 7 was the move that I thought was scariest here. Oh! But they play a 5, 5, 2, 3. Wait, can I not count? 6, 4, 6, 4. No, that's 5, 5. Okay, that's fine. Counting is hard. Alright, so back to the chess. So Report Faruja. Report got a huge position against Faruja. I think Faruja, in the opening he got this slightly odd position that should be fine, but is like a little tricky to play, so the computer will tell you it's fine, but I think it was harder than it looked. And it got worse and worse until it was just completely lost. But Report couldn't quite ever find the path, and it kept veering between being much better and being lost. and the commentators at various points of much better of like, okay, it's much better, but like there's this clear plan to hold. And then he wouldn't quite find that path, and it would get back to lost. And it was quite a messy game, but in the end, he did find his way to a tie. And Faruja, our young star, now is 2 ties as black. And that's like genuinely a good result, right? Because now he has more whites the rest of the way, and that's good. On the other hand, seeing the games, I feel like both of them against better opponents. He was against 2 of the weaker players, I think, in the field. These would have been tough and possibly could have lost both. I am not feeling good about Faruja right now. Even though, like, technically the results are fine. Then we had Duda versus Ding. Another interesting one where I think the computer evaluation did not tell the story. Because the middle game positions, the computer was saying Duda is a little better. But in practice, I think Duda had no targets and Ding did. And so I think in practice it was Ding pushing, despite the fact that the computer was like, Duda's fine. Duda's fine. And the game eventually petered out in a draw, and the computer was like, yeah, it was even the whole way. But I think this is not the case. I think Duda had to be careful here. So just to update our results, Rapport, Faruja, and Duda are all on 1 out of 2. This is a 14-round tournament. And Ding moves up to a half out of 2. I really wanted him to win this one, because if he moved up to 1 out of 2, that would make up for losing in the first round. And I'm rooting for Ding. I enjoy Ding's games. I also like his attitude. Okay. Our third game was Nepo Caruana. So this is a big one, because Nepo won in the first round, beating Ding, and Caruana won in the first round, beating Nakamura. And Nepo had white. Caruana pulls out some really interesting prep and gets a big advantage as black out of the opening. And it just, like, looked so visually powerful. And the computer was like, yeah, this is a really big advantage. And then Nepo found a number of just sweet maneuvers and eventually got it so it still looked bad, but now the computer was saying it's pretty balanced. But to me, it was still like, no, Caruana has a huge advantage. But I think Nepo had it all kind of, not necessarily under control, but found really good ways to get it eventually under control. And Nepo ends up holding the draw, which obviously, when you have to hold the draw as white, that's not great. But given the opening, I was pretty impressed. And Caruana looked so good. One game he was pressing to win and won. One game he was pressing to win and didn't win. But that is very strong. And so they are still joint lead, both at 1.5. In our last game, we have Nakamura versus Rajabov, and that is ongoing. And it keeps breaking my heart, because it was slight edge to Nakamura, and then it grew, big edge, probably winning edge, back to big edge, back to slight edge, up to big edge, probably winning edge, back to big edge, back to slight edge. The computer keeps, and I missed some of it because I was recording the last game, but the computer keeps going back and forth and really scaring me. But we're back up to totally winning, according to the computer. That doesn't mean in practice it's totally winning, but looking at the position, it looks pretty winning. So I think Nakamura will convert and swing back to even, which is fun for all the many Nakamura fans online. And I think cool for him, because he's a big part of kind of the popularity of chess. Obviously things like Queen's Gambit were bigger, but he's a big part. And so I generally do want him to be doing well, though he is certainly not my favorite of the chess streamers. Though the most popular ones I don't like any of. Sorry, Piggy. I don't like Agad Matur at all. Mater, whatever his name is. He's not for me. It's fine that he's for other people. Not for me. I don't really like Levi Rosman, though I think he can be funny. So most of the really big channels are not for me. Daniel Naroditsky is a good channel. John Bartholomew did back in the day. I think those are the, for me, better chess channels. But I'm more focused on, education than entertainment. So, anywho, but it looks like Nakamura will win, which is great, because if there's one thing we want, it's Rajabov losing, and we would much rather have Rajabov be tied for last than Nakamura be tied for last. And, yeah. Alright, he goes 5. So we're down 7-3, but 2-3, 7-2 in 7 looks like our tie. there anything fun we can do? 2-3-7-2 in 1 is kind of cute because it walks into a combo but gives us a combo, but our combo doesn't do anything. So we just lose there. 2-6-3-4 in 1, I guess, also works. But isn't as aesthetically pleasing to me, for whatever that's worth. Let's go. Let's do it 2-3-7-2 and 7. I feel like I'm playing good today. I feel like I'm seeing things. I was behind this game, and I wasn't necessarily that much ahead last game. But I feel like I'm seeing the right things and making the lines work. Let's move order on this one. 6. Not a great move, but I couldn't find anything else. 6, 3, 9, 2, 8, 5, 7. And we'll see what he does. Oh, I'm having fun with these games. I'm so excited the candidates are on. It's my favorite event to follow. Basketball sucks. Screw the Warriors. Wasn't even that hyped for the Celtics. I just hate the Warriors. I would have taken any other team over this. But now we have chess, and chess is exciting. Chess is great. This is the real spectator sport to be watching. I'm feeling very chipper today. Where was this attitude when I was playing tournaments? But I think that's part of it. Tournaments, it's harder to maintain the upbeatness of it all. Gotta work on that. But part of it was like I wasn't seeing lines cleanly, and now I'm just seeing lines cleanly, right? Like, it's not that this should have been a particularly hard position to save, but I felt I had the kind of core concepts of the position before I made my first move. And this is not to say Deli played predictably, it's to say I thought the best moves were the ones Deli played, and therefore they're what I planned for. Come on, Naka. Oh, also, this tournament kind of I think they messed up, like, the contracts with the players. Like, all these tournaments are just filled with press conferences with players explaining things. And day 1, I'm not sure if day 2 they have press conferences, but day 1 they didn't have press conferences with any of the players. And I would have loved to hear, like, Nepo's thoughts on his win or Caruana's thoughts on his win. And it was nice that Nakamura immediately put up a video talking about why and how he lost. And, you know, he's doing it smartly, so he didn't talk about the opening much because that is relevant to how he's going to play later rounds. But talked about other positions along the way. And, yeah, it was a nice insight, and I really enjoy press conferences. And sometimes they're very funny. Obviously, this may not be funny to people not invested in the competition. Obviously, you hear someone talk about something they found really funny in some niche area of interest that's funny to them, and it just doesn't strike you as funny, and that's just because you have no connection to the subject material. But there was this, so Vladimir Kramnik is, like, in my opinion, maybe the 7th or 8th best player of all time. And he was the one to finally take the world championship from the greatest of all time, Garry Kasparov. So, very important place in chess history. And he also almost won the candidates in 2013, depending how you count it, between 5 and 6 years after he had last been world champion. And he deserved to win it. But, okay. In 2018, he's playing the candidates, and he wins a brilliant game in game 2 and an even more brilliant one in game 3. And so he's on 2.5 out of 3, which is a fantastic record in chess, because chess is super drosh. And he's doing great. And then he starts coming into every press conference and just being like, and I was almost winning here. This should have been winning. Couldn't believe I wasn't winning. And like the correct evaluation, because we have, computers, and also clearly the opponents kept looking at him like, what are you talking about? Was like, when he said like, unbelievable, this isn't winning. That meant he was equal or slightly worse. If he said like, and this is just winning, that probably meant slightly better. It was just unbelievable how optimistic his evaluations were, and it was quite fun for me. So I like having press conferences. We do get our tie. Probably the rule set, but this is, I feel, more comfortably than I've tied Deli in recent times. So I feel good about my form. That doesn't mean I won't go down next game, because I certainly might. Deli is obviously, I think, the most difficult opponent for me, just quite clearly. And yeah, so really pleased to have 2 ties where I felt, I was behind this one, but like that's okay. You'll be behind some randoms for sure. Couldn't find a plan, but found enough of a plan that I could tie, and I didn't give him chances to do extra creative Deli stuff. Feel pretty good about that. I think he has to go here. So, yeah. Alright, so we'll stop there, and keep you informed on the candidates. Obviously, that's what you're here for.